And it's a special weekend around Major League Baseball. Special uniforms in every ballpark. Player nicknames on the back. Nick Markakis, initials of his three sons. JT Real Muto, keeping it real. Freddie Freeman, he's got a brother named Andrew, so he's honoring his brother. And, of course, Starlin Castro, 4 times an All-Star. That's self-explanatory. And Sabanero Soy, he is a man that people are going to be watching for many, many years. Ronald Acuna Jr. having a monster rookie season. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us here in Miami with my partner, CJ Nikowski. I am Eric Collins, and we are both so excited to watch this Atlanta Braves team that, if you think about it, maybe a year, maybe 2 years ahead of schedule. All of last season, CJ, 72 wins already this season, with 6 weeks remaining in the season with 72 wins.
Yeah, they had hoped to maybe take a small step forward, but instead they have taken a giant leap. Right now, the Braves are legitimate contenders leading the National League East. The progress that they have gotten from the young players, much better than expected.
And how about Ronald Acuna Jr., just 20 years of age, but this guy is off to a rousing big league start.
This guy is a pretty special player, and rarely do you see a player who is good from beginning in the minor leagues until he gets to the big leagues. There are supposed to be some bumps in the road. There really haven't been any yet for Ronald Acuna Jr. And now he is hitting leadoff from the Braves. And look at the damage that he is doing in 34 games in the leadoff spot. He has hit 14 home runs. It is not supposed to be that easy. But so far for Ronald Acuna Jr., a guy that is built to play baseball, he has been fantastic. The comps that have been put on him, names like Roberto Clemente, that is a big name. You got to be careful, but certainly so far he has lived up to the billing.
And we're not going to have to wait very long to see Ronald Acuna Jr. bat. He bats leadoff ever since the All-Star break. Acuna Jr. and the Braves are red hot since that change occurred. Braves hitting .260 as a team. That's third in all of Major League Baseball. Brian Snitker's line of card looks like this. There's Acuna Jr., Johan Camargo, Freddie Freeman, 3 times an All-Star. Nick Markakis, a first-time All-Star this year. From Hawaii, Kurt Suzuki behind the dish. Ozzie Albies at second base. Got bumped down to the 6th spot in the order. Adam Duvall, trade pickup from Cincinnati. Shortstop Dansby Swanson. And Anibal Sanchez will get the nod. He is a former Marlin, or he's a former Marlin pitching against the Marlins. And they will face off against the native of Taiwan, Wei-In Chen.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the lefty, what he has done so far this season. It's 20 starts for him. That ERA is a little bit high, but he's got some unusual splits. He has struggled on the road. He has been great at home, and so that is certainly something that they would like to see continue here in Miami. He's not a guy that's going to overpower you, but he does throw his fastball quite a bit. 91 has been the average fastball velocity this year. That four-seamer he throws 54% of the time. He has allowed, however, 9 home runs on that pitch.
You know, the Marlins, under Don Mattingly, trying to figure out things at the major league level. Rookie Austin Dean out in left field. Sierra can really go get it out in center field. Ortega is the right fielder. Left side of the infield is Rojas and Riddle. Very good over there. Starlin Castro, the second baseman. Derek Dietrich is at first, and the catcher, JT Real Muto, catching Wei-In Chen, the 33-year-old, making start number 21. All right, let's do it. Saturday Night Baseball here in Miami. Game's first pitch. Healthy cut. Nothing doing. Acuna Jr. down in the count 0-1.
And he comes out aggressive, looking for a fastball early. And there are a lot of hitters in this Braves lineup that are not afraid to attack a pitcher early. You see a fastball you like, you go after it. Acuna Jr. unfortunately just came up a little empty.
6 leadoff homers for Acuna. And remember, this is just his 78th big league game. And he began the year hitting in the 2 spot and sometimes elsewhere in the lineup, but not leading off.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible to watch this guy. I mean, so many young players now getting to the big leagues, a lot quicker, and you expect them to struggle at some point. But so far for him, it has been pretty smooth sailing. He looks very comfortable in the big league stadium.
Count's now 3-1. Chen began the year with elbow issues, but for the most part he's been healthy since the season's first month. Third year with the Marlins after signing a 5-year contract a handful of years ago. Count goes full to the leadoff man, 3-2.
Yeah, they really weren't sure what they were going to have left here with Wei-In Chen. That deal runs through 2020. There have been some injuries, there have been some struggles, and coming into this season they were just kind of hoping that he would be healthy. He's had a lot of setbacks along the way, and so they've been pleasantly surprised with the health and the production.
High down the right field line, that'll make it into the seats. That's one of the things we've seen out of Acuna, is it's not just pull power. He has got enormous power to the opposite field.
And that's something, again, that's supposed to come a little bit later in your career. You're not supposed to be doing that when you first get to the big leagues at such a young age, but it shows you the maturity and why people believe that what he is doing is not something that's necessarily a flash in the pan, but that's something that can last for a while. Whenever you see guys use the entire field, especially with power, it tells you that swing is for real.
Well, Chen may be worn out by the end of the first inning. He's already thrown 7 pitches to Acuna.
Check this out too, as far as what Ronald Acuna Jr. has done his last 10 games against the Marlins. How about a better than 1,600 OPS? He has been absolutely hammering Marlin pitching.
Smoked into center field. That'll get down. Leadoff base hit for Acuna Jr. What's new?
For the Marlins, you're probably just happy that you kept him in the ballpark. He puts together a really tough at-bat. Take a look right here. It looked like it might have been that 4-seam grip, and it was. And split the plate, a little bit elevated. You see that nice smooth swing. Acuna Jr.
So good speed on at first. Acuna with 10 steals and 13 attempts on the year. Here's Camargo. 24-year-old out of Panama. 13 homers. 60 runs batted in. Well, the Braves already got some good news. They've got a little extra pep to their step. There's a reason why. Phillies blew a 5-0 lead today. They lost 8-6 in Toronto. Brian Snitker and the Braves now leading the NL East by 3.5 games. It could be 4 by the end of the night.
Well, the idea of trying to separate yourself right now in the National League East is not something we thought maybe would be coming in August, but there is opportunity right now. The Phillies have struggled as of late. The Braves have been playing some pretty good baseball, and the idea of getting up on by four over the Phillies would be a great way to go into your Sunday. Incredibly, the Nationals 2 games under 500 and now 9 games back. If you were going to pick before the season started, maybe the easiest division to win, I think a lot of people would have said, yeah, maybe the Nationals in the National League East. I think the Indians, certainly a team, weren't expected to get much of a challenge in the American League Central, but things have really gone a little bit differently than expected in the National League East.
So the first 2 batters in today's game have gone to a 3-ball 2-strike count against Wei and Chen. Already 13 pitches into the game. Don't have an out recorded.
So the nickname there for Wei and Chen, just helping everybody with the pronunciation of his first name.
There goes the runner. High fly ball fairly deep left field. It's going to be playable. Austin Dean. So 1 out, and here comes Freddie Freeman, and what a year he has had against all of the National League, but particularly against this Marlin team.
Yeah, if you're going to crush a club, you certainly want to crush one that is within your division, and to see a .418 batting average over 17 games with 8 home runs, OPS well above 1,200. I mean, Freddie Freeman, you're right, he's a really good hitter, one of my favorite hitters in the game as far as his approach. Tremendous opposite field power, but just another guy that the Marlins have really struggled against this year.
On base percentage exactly 400. Lefty-lefty matchup. Ball 1 to Freeman. That's EJ, just to finish off that thought about what we're seeing in the NL East. Still 7 games remaining between the Phillies and the Braves. So as confident as Atlanta is right now, they still have some work to do. Down the left field line, Dean again.
I think you're right, especially for Gabe Kapler's club, rookie manager in Philadelphia. They got off to a really slow start. He said, no, this is a playoff team. And he instilled that kind of confidence in the Phillies from the very beginning. So even though they're struggling a little bit, they absolutely believe that they will be in this thing until the end. They'll put up a fight against the Atlanta Braves. And it's been great for the game, again, because it seemed like the Nationals, I mentioned the Indians, certainly another team, but the Nationals, a team that probably was supposed to run away with their division. But instead, we have some young, hungry teams with some really talented players getting it done in this division right now. And it makes for great baseball.
Nick Markakis. (34-year-old) all-star for the first time in his career, and deservedly so. As professional hitter as there is in the game today, still plays a mean right field. There goes Acuna into center field, sinking. Sierra, did he? Yes, he did. Out number 3. Magneuris Sierra got a great jump and caught it in the heel of the glove. Heading to the bat rack for the first time. Let's take a look at Don Mattingly's lineup card. Rafael Ortega, the catcher, JT Realmuto, Derek Dietrich, Starlin Castro, JT Riddles, the shortstop, Austin Dean, the rookie, Rojas, Sierra, and Chen, the bottom third. First pitch from Anibal Sanchez is ball 1.
Take a look at Sanchez's numbers on the season. This has been a huge surprise. He has been extremely good here for the Braves. You see the 3.13 ERA in his 97 2/3 innings of work, better than 3-to-1 on the strikeout to walk ratio. This was a guy that they signed to a 1-year deal for just $1 million, and kind of hoping maybe could they get something out of him. Of course, he's had a great career, but it appeared after last year that he might be near the end of his career. To 6.41 ERA last season, and a 5.87 ERA the year before that, and a 4.9. I mean, it just wasn't very good over these last 3 years, but he has gotten it turned around with the Braves, and he's done an excellent job for them, and a much needed excellent job in that rotation. What a bargain.
2-2 pitch to Ortega. Well, we saw a couple of batters go to a full count when Atlanta was at the plate, and now the first batter for the Marlins takes the count full. Swatted into center field, sinking, stays up long enough for Acuna to make the play. Acuna getting an opportunity in center field, plays there sporadically, and they're Inciarte just getting a night off. He's surrounded out in center. Duvall in left, Markakis in right. Camargo, Swanson left side of the infield. Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman on the right side of the infield, and the catcher is the veteran Kurt Suzuki. Here's the catcher, Real Muto. Out of Midwest City, Oklahoma. 27 years of age. He's got the 16 homers, 61 runs batted in. Turned himself into a nice backstop over the last couple of years here in Miami.
So check this out. StatCast AI, which is powered by AWS, and we're showing you the batted balls here for Real Muto. Look at the left side. 70%. These are balls that are hit under 200 feet. I think it was over. I think it's their last 100 or 150. I believe is the number. But you don't see this alignment too often. As much as we see defensive shifts and we're getting used to them, look at the gap between the shortstop and the second baseman. That is unusual, even in today's game. But that's using the numbers and lining up your defense the way that you think is best. But usually, and it doesn't happen too often, but if you play a right-handed hitter to pull, you will see that second baseman on the shortstop side of second base. That's been happening a little bit over the last couple of years, but this is an unusual alignment.
Broken bat, shallow right center, right in the Bermuda Triangle. That'll be the first base hit for the Marlins with one out, a runner aboard.
Take a look at the pitch here. Looked like a little slider cutter. Not a lot of movement on it, but enough to at least have Real Muto not be able to get to it. He hit it off the end of the bat. So as a pitcher, you know you've executed your pitch. You've induced weak contact. But unfortunately for Sanchez, this ball just found itself a home in the outfield.
Has there ever been a batter who liked to bat so much that he was upset that he had to sacrifice a broken bat for a base hit?
Never. They know they can get a new bat. There are no shortages of bats for big leaguers. Now, if it's your bat, maybe you've been swinging it pretty hot for the last week to 10 days, you might be a little bit upset. But if it means a hit, you'll be all right. You'll cope.
Here's Derek Dietrich. Dietrich playing at first base, kind of a jack of all trades.
And he's jack too to go with it, so it kind of works out pretty well. This guy is absolutely ripped.
Dietrich is the rarest of the rare. He was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland has not been a hotbed for producing Major League Baseball players for a long time. We're talking Steve Stone and Jerry Dubzinski, Mike Easler back in the 70s and 80s, but for the most part that has been a dead zone in the United States for producing players, but not Derek Dietrich. Beat the odds. I guess he had to go south at one point. Played collegiately at Georgia Tech.
It's a good opportunity coming out of Cleveland to go play down at Tech, right there in Atlanta. Good program, good school.
Now the other part of Ohio, Cincinnati, my goodness, they have just been a hotbed for producing talent. Barry Larkin, Ken Griffey Jr., Pete Rose.
Aaron Boone, right? Wasn't Aaron born? Didn't he go to the same high school as
Cincinnati Mollers, the big baseball one for years? I'm not sure about that, but the Bells all did that kind of stuff. Buddy Bell, David Bell.
Maybe I'm getting the. Maybe I might be getting
Bells and Boone's
baseball family dynasties confused.
3 balls, no strikes to Dietrich. Let's see if he's hunting something. There's a strike. 3-1. Sanchez beginning his major league career here in Miami with the Marlins. Back then the Florida Marlins. Different stadium. Sanchez coming over in a very important trade for this Marlins franchise. It was 2005, Boston and the Marlins. It was the trade that sent Josh Beckett from the Marlins to the Red Sox, and in exchange Sanchez and Hanley Ramirez coming south.
Those are some big names. More often than not, we don't see big names getting exchanged. It's a good player for maybe some players you didn't hear of, or low-level minor leaguers.
There goes the runner from first, and Dietrich pops it up. Down the third base line, in fair territory, and then play is made by Camargo.
Let's take a look at our Ford keys to the game, which of course is sponsored by Ford. And kind of looking at both of these clubs for the Braves, the ground game for Anibal Sanchez, inducing ground balls, and the great defense that the Atlanta Braves play. Important for them to make sure they take advantage and turn those ground balls into outs. And for the Marlins, show me the way. Of course, we were talking about Wei-Yin Chen and how important it is for him, should be Wei-Yin Chen. And the season that he has had, it's been good, but at home, it's been absurdly good. And so they need that to continue to happen. He's made 10 starts at home, 10 on the road, 2.05 ERA here at Marlins Park, 9.35 away from this stadium, which is just absolutely fascinating. So he needs to make sure that that continues. That'll be a big key that he pitches well here at home. And that is some spread.
That's mind-blowing.
And it's not like, well, he's 5 starts on the road and 15 at home. No, it's 10 starts on the road and 10 starts at home, and better than 7 points difference on that ERA.
Don Mattingly, who's been around the game as long as anyone, had a chance to talk to him today, and he had no real explanation for it.
The only thing he said, and he really wasn't trying to blame anything or didn't really have an answer, he just said that Chen has a tendency to be a regimented guy, has a steady routine, and when you're home, you can time it exactly the way that you want. Everything kind of falls into line because the game doesn't start until you're ready to take the mound. When you're on the road, you try to time it the best that you can, but there are times where you're going to have to sit there in the top of the first inning for a long inning or a short inning, whatever it may be. And so getting that timing right is really the only other explanation he could come up with. But they think he's been throwing the ball well, and before this season is over, things will at least even out a little bit. He's never going to get the numbers even, but he believes he'll be better on the road before the year's over.
2 outs, bottom of the first inning. Real Muto still on at first. Had that bloop single a moment ago. Starlin Castro. He is the cleanup hitter. How about this? Actually leads the National League in infield hits. Hits this one sharply into left field. Real Muto on his way to third, taking a chance, and he'll make it. So aggressive base running. Runners on at the corners with 2 outs.
I mentioned the ground balls being in the right place at the right time, and for the Braves on that one, they were playing in the hole, and you're going to watch Castro hit this slider pretty much right back up the middle, or what would have been standard shortstop. Here's a good look at it right here. Because of that shift, no chance for Swanson to get to it, and his throw, maybe a little bit of a surprise that the runner was trying to advance, and that throw ended up being offline. But watch it right here. That secondary lead, and you're gone. Situation with 2 outs, no hesitation. Very easily gets the third.
JT Riddle, the batter.
That's the other thing about really Muto. A lot of conversation about, is he the best catcher in baseball right now? I think most people would tell you yes. But one of the things you don't talk about is how well he runs the bases. He can hit, he can catch, he can throw. He's also a really good base runner. You just saw it right there.
JT Riddle, 27 years old, second-year pro, played collegiately at Kentucky, former Mr. Baseball in the state of Kentucky as a high schooler. Has the distinction, that happens very often, of being a college second baseman who converted to shortstop as a pro.
Now I wonder if his shortstop in college
elite.
I mean, is it Carlos Correa? Was he at his college?
Softly on the ground, backhanded by Freeman, and the side is retired. Marlins leave a couple on. We played an inning, scoreless in Miami. Parks in Major League Baseball, Marlins Park, Miami, Florida, not too far away from downtown. We've reached inning number 2. Atlanta and Miami. Kurt Suzuki, Ozzie Albies, Adam Duvall batting against Wei-Yin Chen. Kurt Suzuki's first playing time in a while. Got bonked in the arm earlier this week and had to take a couple of games off. Opportunity for Tyler Flowers, the other catcher on the roster.
It was interesting too to listen to Brian Snitker talk about Suzuki and how his health was, how he was feeling, and Suzuki said, listen, if I'm not on the DL, then I can play. You love hearing that. Of course, there's a trend. You got to be a little careful with guys that are willing to play through any pain, and sometimes you have to protect them from themselves, and it's probably one of those situations. But you appreciate it as a manager, but at the same time, okay, just want to give you a day or two, make sure you're feeling right before you head back out there. He's been really good for this club, especially offensively, who he's become. At this point in his career, he's always kind of looked at more of it as a defensive catcher, catch and throw guy, you know, a little bit of a stick, but offensively, things have changed in a pretty big way for him. And for the Braves, right at the right time.
Eager Beaver, after not playing since Tuesday, has fouled out the first 2 pitches seen. Didn't mean to, went too far. 3-pitch strikeout for Chen. Enhance your next game day experience with the MLB Ballpark app. Access and manage your tickets. Enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. Massive swing and a miss by the second baseman, Ozzie Albies. He has Poochie on the back of his jersey. That's just his family nickname. Story was he was given that by his grandmother back in Curacao. So Poochie at the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. CJ, what do you think about Players Weekend around Major League Baseball?
I love it. I think it's great. Fans obviously love it. The jerseys are fantastic. The idea, I think, of bringing some personality to the players. You know, baseball's kind of always been accused of being a little bit buttoned up, right? So the idea that players can throw it out there a little bit with their nicknames, I think it's fantastic for the game.
If you were playing nowadays, what would be in the back of your
last
jersey?
year, I'll go ahead and take a little shot here at FS1. Last year they got us jerseys because I happened to work a national game on Players Weekend. Now I dropped the ball a little bit. You know, when you have a nickname or you go by an initial name, there's not a ton of nicknames. So I kind of blew it. I just went with CJ, and I was a Cleveland Indians jersey. Oh, and, you know, and I do because we were in Cleveland at the time, and you know I do a pretty good amount of the Rangers games, so I was a little uncomfortable putting it on, quite honestly, but I did.
Duvall swings at the first pitch. This is going to be an easy 1-2-3 inning, maybe. Nope. An error by the shortstop Riddle. So the inning remains alive. Just the slightest bobble, and with Duvall busting it down the line, it's going to be a base runner with 2 outs.
Yeah, it's so important that you do bust it out of the box every single time. You never know. Feels like a routine ground ball, but all it takes is that little bit of a bobble right there on the exchange to give Duvall enough time to beat this out. You see it right here. Looks like it should be an easy play, but did not come out of the glove cleanly, and that allows Duvall to be able to reach and keep this inning alive.
So instead of an 8-pitch inning for Chen, it's an error on Riddle, and Dansby Swanson will bat for the first time.
Hey.
74 miles per hour, strike 1.
So with that being said, if I could go back, obviously no jerseys this weekend for you and I. We'll be all right. We'll get over it. But yeah, I played in Asia for a couple of years, and Nico Chan was a nickname for me. I think that's where I would have went. Yeah. How about you?
Oh, hadn't even thought about it. I was actually given the name Eric by my parents because they wanted something that could not be shortened, that could not be made into a nickname. My sister is Lisa, so we both have names that could not be changed at all or goofed around with.
So they get upset?
And we'll put a Y on the end of it.
So do they get upset when people call you E? I'm sure some people call you E.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that's not Eric. That's not appropriate. Dansby Swanson has the unusual name of Dansby. That is his mother's maiden name. He goes by Dans.
the other thing too, I mean, again, it's great for the game, it's great for fans and talking about the nicknames and figuring them out, but also if you're a Marlins fan and you get one of these jerseys, which are pretty special, you get double as a crossing guard uniform because they are unbelievably, the sleeves are unbelievably bright.
Off the thumbs, shallow left field. Dean got a slow start, but plenty of time to make the one-handed grab. So the error by Riddle does no damage. If you got a life, you got a Swiffer. Welcome back, everyone. Miami, Florida. Big rainstorm in the area this afternoon. Rain has come and gone, but really makes us no mind. We're undercover here at Marlins Park. CJ Nikowski, I'm Eric Collins.
That was nasty this afternoon. Not what you expect when you come to Miami. Thunderstorms and TV went out for a little while in the hotel. But it's a different kind of feeling, right? When you're either playing baseball or calling baseball games and you have that kind of weather in the middle of the day, you're instantly, your body starts telling you, oh, I might have a night off. Not here. Not going to happen.
Here's Austin Dean leading things off. Dean's been a big leaguer for all of about 2 weeks. Began the year playing Double-A baseball. Moved up to the Triple-A club and now playing left field for the Marlins. Native of Spring, Texas. I think he came up here too late to put in his request for a nickname on the back of the jersey. He's just happy to have a jersey. So that's why we got Dean.
Absolutely. For guys to get that first opportunity, I don't care if they give you number 99, if they spell your name wrong, as long as you're picking up that jersey in a big league clubhouse. I think a good example of kind of what we talked to both of the managers about today, and how quickly players move along and you go to a couple of levels and then be in the big leagues in August. It's a little bit of a different trend in the game now. Players, it used to be, I had to spend a full year here and maybe a full year here. It's different level. Those days are over. It is. If you feel like a guy has done all he can do at a level, just go ahead and move him up. You don't wait it out. And if you feel like he's ready to get a look at the big league level, there's zero hesitation these days with organizations.
High pop-up in the field of play. Freeman with the squeeze. Anibal Sanchez gets out number 1. Doesn't really pop that radar gun much anymore. Used to be mid-90s, now down to 91 with a good effort. 34 years of age from Maracay, Venezuela. 7 years here with the Marlins, highlighted by a no-hitter thrown September 6, 2006, when he no-hit the Diamondbacks.
You bring up a good point, though, with the velocity, because as guys get older, and he's 34 years old, the velocity comes down, and you have to figure out, how do you make adjustments? Well, he's actually been really good. He's striking out an even 9 batters per 9. That's above Major League average. And for guys that throw 90, that's probably well above Big League average. His walk rate 2.8 per 9, so he fills up the strike zone. That's better than MLB average. He's kind of turned into this crafty righty. We use that phrase a lot of times with lefties when they don't throw hard. That really is what Anibal Sanchez is, and it's a full repertoire that he uses. It's really amazing. Baseball savant and Statcast do a really good job of pitch classification, keeping track of everything. Go to those websites and they'll break everything down and how often they use it. And on the high end, a guy will have 5 pitches. When you look at Anibal Sanchez's page, 4-seamer, 2-seamer, cutter, curveball, split, slider, changeup. I mean, it is deep. And it's not like, well, he throws this one pitch once in a while. No, the least he throws any pitch is 6% of the time. You'll get a guy that throws a pitch and shows up there, and you might see 1% of the time, and sometimes you don't even count it. You just kind of dismiss it. But it has been incredible. I'm doing my research. I'm looking. I'm like double and triple checking. I'm like, is that right?
So how many pitches is that?
Well, technically it's 7. It's 2 different kinds of fastballs.
Hit well into the gap, left center field. It hangs up long enough for Duvall to run it down. So Rojas is out, number 2. All right, CJ, I got to ask you. I guarantee you there's some person out there watching this game that's wondering, just like I am, if he throws 7 pitches, what's the catcher doing behind the plate?
So with the fastball,
take your glove off.
I mean, so with the fastball, you can always use just one regardless. So a lot of times you'll see 4-seam fastball, and it's just a straight one. And then when a guy wants to throw that sinker, he'll take that same finger and just kind of move it in a circle a little bit. That means 2-seamer. 3 right there is generally the slider. And there it is. And now the other thing with the pitch classifications, what could happen, and this would not be uncommon for a guy like Sanchez, is he may take that slider and throw it a little bit harder, and it looks like a cutter. And it might be the same pitch. He just kind of manipulates it a little bit and kind of plus and minus on pitches. Greg Maddux was infamous for that, throwing the same pitch, but throwing it in a 7 to 8 mile an hour speed range, even though it was the same pitch, and it would give a little bit of a different look. I would guess that's probably somewhat the case with Sanchez. Or the changeup and the split finger, same kind of thing.
2 balls and a strike. Magneuris Sierra, the batter, 22-year-old, came over in the trade that sent Marcell Ozuna to the St. Louis Cardinals over the winter. You talk about guys moving up a level when needed. He moved up from high A last year all the way up to the big league club when they had a whole bunch of injuries in the Cardinal outfield. 3-2 to Sierra. Foul tipped into the catcher's glove. So a strikeout for Sanchez. We've made it through 2 complete scoreless. of the third inning.
Yeah, look at this here. I mean, his first two batters, we kind of noted, well, looks like the Braves were going to work him a little bit. Took him 14 pitches to get through those first two hitters, but he's only needed 15 now to get through the last 6 batters. And so we'll see if the Braves try to get back to working the count a little bit here with Wei and Chen.
The pitcher Sanchez leads things off, top of the third inning, looking for his first hit of 2018. Never been a great hitter. Spent the last handful of seasons in the American League with the Tigers, but this year a whole bunch of nothing.
Career 079 hitter, does have 7 RBIs. These are things that you keep track of. I believe I got to double check that. I thought I saw, or might have been Wei and Chen. Does he have a triple under his belt?
I don't believe that Chen does. I believe he has 1 double in his career.
Sanchez has a double and a triple.
Oh my goodness.
For an 079 hitter, that's doing some slugging.
Dangerous. 2 balls and a strike. Chen to Sanchez.
Now the triple was 7 years ago, 2012. The double came in 2014.
He remembers them both.
Oh, no doubt. That's, well, I got the no-hitter that you probably talk about that a little bit post-career, but he'll talk about that triple a lot.
So strikeout number 3 for Chen. Tomorrow on Fox, the NFL preseason continues as A.J. Green of the Bengals take on Josh Allen and the Bills. Kickoff is tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. If you haven't seen Josh Allen, he can probably throw a football 85 miles an hour. He has got a howitzer. Back to the top of the order, and Acuna. Breaking ball, strike 1.
It's interesting. We don't see that, right? I mean, with all the abilities that we have to capture data, do you ever hear about
every once in a while, like at the combine, they'll throw that out?
I think it'd be interesting to know in game while you're watching a game, you see a guy rifle.
Just like spin rate in baseball, sometimes you do see revolution rates because you want a tighter ball throwing it through the air. Well, velocity with throwing is something that Acuna has, and you hear the crowd. A lot of Atlanta Braves fans have made the trip down here to South Florida, and anytime a pitch gets close to Acuna, it's a story.
Well, especially the recent history here between the Braves and the Marlins, and of course Acuna was on that great run with the leadoff home runs, and then he got hit to lead off a game. That did not go over very well, and then he came back and hit a home run.
Now he comes back and drills it over the head of Dean. Acuna scampers into second. Stand-up double with 1 out. Unfazed.
Yeah, he really is. It's pretty amazing. And, you know, maybe that was more of a crowd reaction than it was for him, but you see this off-speed pitch stay up in the zone. And this really is a beautiful swing. Watch it here from the side, short to the ball, long through. Talk about short to it, long through it. That is a good example of it right there. He took that 84-mile-an-hour changeup and he hit it 105 miles an hour. That to me is a number that I'd be interested in. The difference.
A plus
between,
22.
Yeah, you know, the difference between the pitch and how hard you actually hit it, because you got to generate some power on those off-speed pitches.
Here's Camargo. Flying out to left his first time up. Braves haven't scored in a while. Lost 1-0 last night. Already today, the Phillies with a loss. Braves trying to add an extra full game to their lead in the NL East. Currently up by 3.5 games on Philadelphia. Braves have been terrific against the East for the most part. 41-20 against the NL East. Dominated this Marlins club. 2 balls and a strike to Camargo.
We talked about the fastballs with Wei-Yin Chen, and it's 54% on the four-seam. He actually rarely throws his two-seam fastball, which is kind of rare for a lefty. You think about being a left-handed pitcher, you're predominantly going to face right-handed hitters. There are a couple of lefties in there with Freeman and Markakis tonight, but you want to have the ability to run the ball away. But he is a guy that just doesn't throw that two-seam fastball. So the four-seamer, that one right there, he has got to be careful because it cut back over the middle of the plate. So if he wants to work any of these right-handed hitters away, there's a small margin for error because he doesn't run it with the fastball arm side. And if he misses like that, where that cuts back over the middle, it becomes a very hittable pitch for right-handed hitters. That's something to keep an eye on here this evening.
Another full count. The combination of Acuna and Camargo have seen 24 total pitches in 4 plate appearances against Chen. They have been a thorn in Chen's side. Got him. Off-speed pitch, and Camargo way out front. 4 strikeouts for Chen.
He might have been sitting fastball in that spot because this is an ugly swing and a slider, and a good one from Wei-Yin Chen. Watch the location down and in. Borderline of whether or not that was a strike, but that swing tells me that Camargo was probably expecting a fastball as he is off balance and way out front.
Well, here's a tough customer. Freddie Freeman. 3-time All-Star. Absolutely stunned. Just kind of poring over notes and stories and thoughts. Seems like he's been Mr. Brave for a decade now. Still only 28 years of age.
He's a special player too, and that is pretty unbelievable. I don't even think I would have realized that he was only 28 years old. Really tough hitter. Lefties or righties, it doesn't matter. He's actually hitting better against lefties this year. He came into this game hitting .323 against lefties, .313 against righties. So he's not a guy that you can necessarily play matchup with, and the big part of that is his ability to drive the ball to left field. Not hit it to left field, but drive it to left field with authority.
0-2. And Real Muto just not able to hang on. Freeman stays alive. Well, it's not just Freeman, but the guy behind him in the order, Nick Markakis, another left-handed batter who is very effective against southpaws. Both Freeman and Markakis well over 300 against left-handed pitching.
That makes it easy on a manager when you're filling up a lineup. You got a left-handed starter, doesn't matter. You're worried about a good left-handed reliever, doesn't matter.
Not a typical Freeman swing. Welcome back, everyone. Still scoreless, Braves and Marlins. Wei and Chen lost the lumber.
There's your case for the universal DH. Laughing about it now. Unfortunately, nobody got hit. Take a look at this swing, and
that's what pine tar's for.
It's the second greatest use for a pitcher with pine tar. First, of course, is manipulating the baseball.
Really?
So I've heard.
Uh-oh.
Only heard that.
Shortstop, Swanson. One down. Anibal Sanchez off to a good start. Remember, he began his big league career with the Marlins. And where were you back in September 6, 2006? Sanchez was throwing a no-no against the Diamondbacks.
Eric Burns right there making the last out. MLB Network, and what a reaction. That's pretty special. You see guys get excited. That's a pretty good reaction right there from Sanchez. A little different than the Nolan Ryan handshake after he threw one of his no-hitters. Just business as usual.
At the time, Sanchez just finishing out his rookie year. Back to the top of the order. Rafael Ortega batting against Sanchez. That no-hitter, by the way, was the 4th in franchise history for the Marlins. Al Leiter had the first, Kevin Brown, and A.J. Burnett first 3. I think since Henderson Alvarez and last year Edinson Volquez. So those are all of your Marlins no-hitters over the years. So what Sanchez wants the appeal is actually Sanchez asking for the appeal at third, and no swing.
Trying to be ahead of the curve a little bit, maybe.
All right, so what would be the biggest achievement if you're Sanchez? The no-hitter that he threw in 2006, or winning the American League ERA crown that he won in 2013?
Probably the ERA crown, I gotta believe. I mean, that's a special moment in that one game, and certainly a great memory. But when you can do something over the course of a full season, go up against the best in your league and come out on top, that's a pretty big achievement. All the work that you do all off season long, and then what you do during the season, wire to wire, I think is something obviously that takes a lot more consistency, a lot more support from your team as well, although the no-hitter is certainly a fun moment.
Acuna, shallow center. There are now 2 outs. College football is back Labor Day weekend on FS1. Catch 3 great matchups, including Heisman hopeful Bryce Love and the Stanford Cardinal hosting San Diego State. Also, Texas looks to avenge last year's upset against Maryland. It's 3 days of football starting Thursday on FS1. We're streaming live on the Fox Sports app. Here's the catcher, Real Muto. All right, CJ, just kind of talking out loud, but I doubt there's very many pitchers that have the unique circumstance that Sanchez has of winning a league's ERA title, yet still having a below 500 1-loss record in their career. Sanchez sitting at 96 and 98 in his big league career. So he's been a below 500 pitcher. We all realize in this day and age that wins and losses don't mean much of anything, but still, you figure that if one time in your life you were good enough to lead the league in ERA, then for the most part, your career would be on an upward tick and you'd have a winning record.
Yeah, you would think so. And obviously you count on your team a little bit more that year that he won the ERA title. He had finished that year with a career 62 and 59 record, so he was only 3 games above 500. And then I was talking earlier about the last couple of seasons and how they haven't gone well for him. There was a 3-7 year in there, 7-13, and even 10-10 with Detroit. So wins were tough to come by for Sanchez. But you're right, that's a fun one as far as guys that have had significant careers. He's made 279 starts. So thinking about guys that have made, let's say, at least 250 starts over the course of their career, have won an ERA title in the past and are below 500. It's probably a short list.
3-1 to the catcher. A little bit outside. That'll be a walk. That's the first walk allowed by either side. A Two-out base runner for the Marlins. Here's Dietrich. Popped out to the third baseman back in the first inning. In case you're wondering, the back of the jersey for Sanchez says Alejo. His middle name is Alejandro, and the nickname, I guess, that Sanchez has for his middle name is Alejo. Players weekend, so the players had the option of putting whatever they want in the back of their jersey,
which is a night or a weekend that makes me feel really glad that I'm in the color analyst chair, not the play-by-play chair. That's a lot of work, getting all the nicknames down, making sure the pronunciations are right, the meaning behind them. Oh, it's not an easy thing to do, especially to come in for a national game. It's one thing when you're covering a team all the time.
What a great jump. Real Muto, the catcher. He had 6 steps before the ball left Sanchez's hand.
Well, we talk about stealing bases off of pitchers. Here's a really good example of that. And I mentioned it earlier how Real Muto is a really good base runner, not because he has a lot of stolen bases. That is just his 3rd stolen base of the year. There's a lot more that goes into base running. We saw him go 1st to 3rd earlier. And smart base runners. We said about Paul Goldschmidt a lot. As far as position players that maybe don't rack up a ton. Good amount of stolen bases, but they pick their spots. They know when to go. They read pitchers well. And also understanding situations, right? You got 2 outs. 3-hole hitter up. Not a bad time to try to get into scoring position.
And Marlins, for the most part, they don't run. That's just the 4th stolen base as a team for the Marlins. Station to station usually for Don Mattingly's bunch. This is game number 131 on the season, just 40 steals. They've been caught 24 times. 2-1 to Dietrich.
Well, stolen base has certainly gone away in Major League Baseball. It's a different game. The risk versus reward for a lot of teams is they run their numbers, and it's not what it used to be. Certainly think of the heyday in the 70s and the 80s. It seemed like we had all those kind of leadoff hitters, smaller guys could put the ball in play and could run. It's a different game now.
One hopper right back to Sanchez. And the side is retired. So the walk and the stolen base, they go by the wayside. From our vantage point, we're undercover here in Marlins Park. There's Derek Jeter Derek Jeter, president and CEO, first year down here in South Florida, also minority owner. Talking things over with Mike Hill, director of baseball ops. Right of your screen, Mike Hill.
A lot of conversations going on this year for these two. It's been kind of a year for the Marlins of listening, assessing, seeing what they have, coming up with that game plan. It's one thing when you take over as an executive and you think, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is how we're going to lay it out. But the situation that the Marlins are in, you got to take that first year a little bit, I think, to get a better feel for what you're really seeing. It's one thing to look at numbers and talk to people that have been around the team and try to come up with a game plan. But for a guy like Derek Jeter, he needs to see it with his own eyes, on the field and off the field. He's here quite a bit with these fans and understanding the experience of this ballpark, where they want to improve in those areas. Of course, first things first, getting improved on the field.
Nick Markakis softly past the glove of Chen. This could be an infield single, and it is. Throw gets away, not far enough. A fortuitous hop, and Dietrich, just being smart, tags Markakis, but he didn't make the wrong turn. So a leadoff single to begin the fourth inning.
He knew this was going to be trouble as soon as Chen couldn't get to it. The ball kind of died on that second bounce, and as Castro comes in and tries to make that play, even if this throw was on line, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I think Nick Markakis beats this out regardless.
So just the third hit for Atlanta, and the first hit by someone other than Ronald Acuna Jr. Here's Kurt Suzuki. Struck out on 3 pitches first time up. It's been a fun summer for Kurt Suzuki. Just saw that he's got 9 homers on the year. Those are 9 significant homers, because this year he has passed his cousin Shane Victorino on the all-time home run list of players born in Hawaii. So Kurt Suzuki is now the all-time home run leader from the 50th state. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good to see. Last year he set a career high with 19 home runs. He went through a phase in his career from 2009 to 2011 where he was showing some power, but then it was 2012 to 2016 where the power seemed to have disappeared. There were years where he's hitting just 3 home runs, 5 home runs, and then last year at the age of 33 hit 19.
Figured it out. Out number 1. Ortega makes the play. Braves are now 0 for 7 with men on base. I mentioned that the Braves were shut out yesterday. So the last 12 innings over the last 26 hours have produced zip for the Atlanta offense. Ozzie Albies.
That's interesting too, because the Braves are a team, and we know batting average, maybe we don't use it to assess the way that we used to, but it still has some meaning. And they came into this one hitting .260 as a team. That's 3rd best in all of Major League Baseball and best in the National League. It's a team that can swing it a little bit. You're going to go through little lulls here and there, trying to string some hits together. But right now, Chen's been pretty good. And I think it's worth keeping an eye on Albies right now at this phase. He's been struggling a little bit as of late. And talking to some people around the Braves, he felt like his swing was getting a little big. He was getting a little pull happy. Trying to work on going the other way, using the whole field a little bit more. And you can see it at times, but then you can also see him get really big with that swing again.
Popped up right side. Out of play. All right, realistically, does anything in Ozzie Albies' life change now that he's hitting down in the order? Began the year as the leadoff guy, now hitting 6th. Is he asked to do anything different? Does he have a different mindset? Or is it simply the fact that he is not potentially going to bat as many times in the game?
Yeah, so I think from the team standpoint, no expectations have changed. They don't want him to do anything different. They're hoping that when you slot a guy down in the order, that it takes some of the pressure off. That maybe he's not feeling like, not that he doesn't have to do as much. Of course he wants to perform, but there's something about being down in that order a little bit lower mentally that they're hoping will work for him. And then, yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for maybe less at bats when it's all said and done. You know, we talk about these young players, and I'm guilty of this as much as anybody. We gloss over, we see young players doing well, I'm like, oh yeah, look how easy it is for them. Well, the reality is it's not that easy, and you will get tired over the course of a full season, and you're going to go through some tough stretches. So the idea of dropping a guy, so maybe it's less at bats, is not a terrible idea either. Even game to game, right? It could be 3 plate appearances instead of 4, 4 instead of 5.
Softly hit into left field. Dean comes on, has to play it on a hop. First hit of the night for Albies. Runners on at first and at second with just 1 out.
I will say this, watching him with Albies, it doesn't seem like a guy that is feeling or dealing with pressure. Now look at this breaking ball. It's down low. Look at Realmuto. He's getting ready to block that pitch. Like, that ball was going to be in the dirt. Now, there's 2 different ways to look at this. We look at a guy like Vladimir Guerrero, who we talk about all the time, the Hall of Famer, the unbelievable coverage that he had outside the strike zone. He can get base hits on pitches like that all the time. It's great if you're making contact and you're getting base hits. If you're swinging and missing or you're making weak contact consistently on pitches out of the zone, then the conversation turns to, well, should he be more disciplined? Should he not be chasing those pitches? When it turns into a hit, nobody says anything. If it turns into a pop out, it's, hell, why are you chasing pitches out of the zone?
Duvall swings at the first pitch. Circuitous route by Sierra, but he makes the play. And that's out number 2. The MLB at Bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. Catch it all season with the free MLB.tv Game of the Day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
So I'll give you a little nerd food to back that up with.
Love it. Okay.
So the O swing percentage, which is how often a player swings and pitches outside of the zone, for Albies this year, 39%. The league average is just under 31%, and he is far and away at the highest O swing percentage of any Atlanta Brave. And so he is a guy that will chase. Now, again, when you get those hits, nobody cares. Vladimir Guerrero was able to make it work. We called him a bad ball hitter. And when you're not getting it done, that's when you start to hear about it. That's when maybe you get slid down in the order. That's when the conversation becomes, should you try to tighten up your pitch selection a little bit?
Oh, we are doing a Braves game. And there are some old school Braves fans. You talk about bad ball hitting. They don't want to hear Vladimir Guerrero. It was all about Rico Carty. Rico Carty was just a notorious bad ball hitter out of the Dominican back in the 70s. Great player was Rico Carty. And if Rico Carty was playing on Players Weekend, he'd have big dog. Big dog.
With a W?
Dansby Swanson. 12 homers from his shortstop spot, trying to get a 2-out base hit. We're starting to notice some themes here from Wei-In Chen. He has 5 Ks. He's induced 6 flyouts. There has yet to be an out recorded on the ground.
Yeah, it's interesting to see now. Chen came in with a 38% ground ball rate. That's below league average. League average has been around 44% this year, but it's not 0. I mean, it's 38%, so kind of surprising to see that he's yet to record an out on the ground.
2-2 to Swanson. Juan Nieves, pitching coach for Miami. He threw a no-hitter early in his career as the Milwaukee Brewer. I want to say that Robin Yount, diving catch to save the day. Struck out. Dansby Swanson strikes out. That's now 6 punch-outs for Chen. glamour of Miami, Florida. A lot of fun things to do here. But in the month of August, it is muggy. Humid day yesterday. I had a chance to walk around our hotel and come to the ball game. And highlight of my trip, besides sitting next to you, CJ Nikowski, highlight of my trip, I was walking along Biscayne Bay, looked down, and I saw 2 manatees.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you saw a pit bull. 2 manatees, huh? That is pretty cool.
A couple manatees. I'd never seen a manatee before. The sea cow.
That's right.
Here's Starlin Castro. Castro swings at the first pitch. A little bit of an Olay by Camargo. Swanson trying to bail him out, and he does! Oh, what a play by Dansby Swanson. Doing his best Derek Jeter impersonation with the jump throw.
That was incredible, because as soon as Camargo dove for that ball, you thought there's no way they're going to be able to get Castro. I don't know if he tipped that ball or not, but great concentration by Dansby Swanson. We're going to look here.
I think he tipped it.
Maybe glanced at it a little bit. So you think about trying to read the bounce as a shortstop in that spot after it goes off of your third baseman's glove. That is an incredible play. Great concentration and an unbelievable throw. You think when Jeter sees that he's impressed at all? They actually named that after me.
Starlin Castro leads the National League in infield hits with 24, but he gets robbed of an infield hit by Swanson. Here's JT Riddle. I wonder if there was a battle in that clubhouse over who got to put the nickname JT on the back of the jersey, JT Riddle or JT Real Muto.
Well, only one uses initials and one doesn't, so that's another way they could look at it if they really wanted to go there.
And neither one of them actually has the JT on the back of the jersey. You got T for Riddle, and you got Real for Real Muto. JT Riddle is Joshua Travis. JT Real Muto is Jacob Tyler. And I don't know what JT Snow was.
He set the trend. We know that much.
Outside.
Jack Thomas for JT Snow.
Just popped into your head miraculously after a 5-second pause.
It's all about the internet machine.
The interweb.
Makes us all look really smart until we read something that's inaccurate. That happens too.
We'll do it again. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Riddle. Marlins really wanted him to be the opening day shortstop, but just a handful of injuries, a shoulder injury, and other nicks and bruises, wasn't able to give it a go. So instead, it was Miguel Rojas, the everyday shortstop for the first month of the year. Softly right side, Albies. Well, unlike Chen, Sanchez has been working on that ground ball. It's now 3 consecutive outs on ground balls to infielders. 2 outs, bases clear. And next in that lineup is Austin Dean.
Yeah, we mentioned that in our keys and how important that was for Anibal Sanchez. 45% ground ball rate, just slightly above league average, but also the defensive positioning here for the Atlanta Braves and the way that they set their defense up. Now, you look at their shifts, and it's not that they shift a ton. Overall, they're 20th in Major League Baseball as far as the amount of shifts that they use. They're pretty proud of the work that they do here. Ron Washington, the infield coach with the Braves, does an excellent job as far as getting his defenders ready, doing those little things, trying to make the most of what they have. Done a really nice job of turning those ground balls into outs this year. There's a stat that they use I like, someone turned me on to, called defensive efficiency. Baseball Reference will keep that stat. I think they have it at some other places as well. You see Ron Washington right there. And basically it's pretty simple. Batted balls turned into outs.
Okay.
Well, the Braves this year have a .705 defensive efficiency. That's 3rd best in baseball.
On cue, Swanson with a nice pick. Strong throw across the diamond. 3 ground ball outs here in the bottom of the 4th. If you've got a life, you got a Swiffer. Saturday night in Miami. First pitch to begin our 5th inning is a called strike 1. Anibal Sanchez looking for his first base hit of the year. 0 for 28.
It's kind of a dirty play right there by Chen. Has 0 for 28. You throw him a 72-mile-an-hour breaking ball. He's obviously had an issue this year. You know, 2 strikes, I get it. Turnabout's fair play. We'll see what happens when Sanchez gets back out there to face Chen. I mean, you're trying to get outs, but I'm not saying you're giving in and letting him get a base hit, but you can probably beat him with just your fastball.
Low-scoring baseball here at Marlins Park over the last 2 days. Dating back to last night, 13 innings played consecutively with only 1 run scored. Last night was a 1-0 win for the Marlins. 92 miles per hour, and Sanchez strikes out for the 2nd time. It's now 7 strikeouts for Chen. Well, for the most part, Atlanta, they have flexed their muscle against the Marlins this year.
Yeah, they certainly have. And look at the runs per game, 6.5 to 3.4. That's where they get it done. And they've absolutely dominated in every area. But maybe the one that sticks out the most, that bullpen ERA, that last one, the relievers ERA, 1.46 to 7.29. Not scoring runs late, kind of finishing things off in a big way. The Braves have done that to the Marlins all season.
A couple of Braves in particular have killed Marlins pitching. Freddie Freeman and this man, Ronald Acuna. Acuna down in the count, 0-2.
The Braves decided not to start the season with Acuna at the big league level. There's a lot of talk about that. He had just crushed every minor league level that he had gone to. And that's not going to be well received. As we mentioned earlier, some of the history. And, you know, it's one of those things as you hear those Braves fans that are here booing. You just mentioned how great he has been against the Braves this year. And they know they have to pitch him in off the plate. But anytime you get close, you're going to hear about it because they already hit him once. There's a little back and forth, little miniature beanball war between these 2 clubs surrounding some of the pitches with Acuna. Watch this right here. Now it's pretty far in. I was going to say, so they decided to have him start in AAA. And it's not uncommon. It's happening now. And a lot of times it has to do with service time. The Cubs did it with Chris Bryant. Bring him up in the middle of April and essentially get almost 7 full seasons before he's eligible for free agency. Well, same thing here with Acuna Jr., which from a business standpoint is looking like a really smart move. And I think even fans are like, yeah, we want him here as long as we possibly can keep him. If you can't lock him up to a team-friendly deal or a long-term deal, then all right, if we have to start the season a little bit later without him, so be it. We know we can keep him longer. The only person it really upsets, and understandably so, is the player.
Yeah, best of both worlds for the Atlanta Braves front office and seemingly their fans. Is not only are they going to get more than likely another year of Acuna long term, but also it didn't cost them much beginning of the year. They're still in first place, currently with a 3.5 game lead after the loss this afternoon by Philadelphia.
That's a really good point, because when Jason Hayward came up, he did break camp with the team as a 20-year-old on opening day. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they made the postseason by 1 game. Or whatever it might have been. It was close. And had the Braves missed by, say, a game this year, say they don't make the postseason, they missed by a game, you'd be playing that game with yourself, well, should we have had him up here earlier? And would that make a difference? And then, of course, the Braves eventually had to trade Jason Hayward 1 year away from free agency. Had they held him back a couple of weeks, they would have had him for another year, maybe not made that trade.
Third at bat for Acuna. He's getting ready to see his 21st pitch from Chen. Chen has only thrown 56 pitches to everyone else in the Braves lineup. Wow, so well over a fourth of all the pitches thrown by Wei-Yin Chen have been thrown to that man.
I'm guessing somebody didn't have the count right. We had the count right. Junior seemed like he wasn't interested in the walk.
What's the old line? You can't walk off an island. Swing the bat.
He wants to, but he really did show some pretty incredible discipline. And it is amazing to see the numbers you just mentioned, the amount of pitches that he has seen so far, and averaging 7 per plate appearance. Again, young players are supposed to be a little bit undisciplined, and that is just not the case here with Acuna Jr.
First walk by Chen. That was a 9-pitch walk. Here's Camargo. Strike one called. 24-year-old from Panama. And the cool thing about Acuna is, as quickly as he sped through the Atlanta chain, it wasn't like he was a sure thing when he signed. He signed for $100,000, which is a decent chunk of change. But in modern baseball, for an uber prospect from Latin America, that's not much.
Nope. No, you're absolutely right. 2014.
High popper. It's going to be playable. Shallow center field. And finally, Sierra calls off Castro and makes the play.
Well, it's turned out to be a really great deal for the Braves and really for their player developmental staff. Think about the idea of getting a player, what they probably thought of him, and really what the rest of the industry thought of him at the time. Right? If it's a $100,000 signing bonus, that gives you a little bit of a feel that certainly teams were interested. But what he became once he put on that professional uniform, his first year, rookie ball at 269, but he had an incredible on base of 380. Didn't show very much power, but it only got better after that, and he just continued to cruise at every single level that he hit. Now, ironically enough, he starts the season in AAA after having a great spring training, and he only hit 211 in AAA this year with the Braves, and that was probably, you wonder for him a little bit. He had the great spring training, did make the team. Did that affect him? That's probably at least a fair assumption. But he was swinging the bat a lot better before they called him up. They wanted to get him kind of going a little bit, and he finally did get it going after 90 at-bats at AAA. But you look at the numbers as a whole, and you're like, well, how do you get called up hitting 211 with a 297 on base? Well, there's a little bit more of a story there.
Freeman loops it foul. He's going to have to work down in the count 0-2.
And his current 924 OPS, which is what he came into this game posting, it's only gotten better. It's higher than any level he's ever been anywhere. And I know he's only 20 years old, but at the minor league level, he has never put an OPS up that high. It's not supposed to work that way. Your numbers are not supposed to be better in the big leagues than they have been in the minor leagues.
Acuna last year, 3 different levels in the Braves chain, stole 40 bases. This is a guy who has the speed to do a lot of things. Hasn't run with reckless abandon as a big leaguer, just 10 steals in 13 attempts. Maybe a time to run here.
Yeah, it's tough to do it against the Marlins just because they've done such an excellent job. 36 caught stealing by their catcher. That's the 3rd most in the game. Ruto's got a great arm. He's done a really nice job. Thrown out 37% of base runners this year.
If we do see Acuna run, who's going to be the man covering second base?
Well, I think because of the angle, it's got to be your third baseman in this spot. You get these shifts, or excuse me, well, not technically your third baseman, your shortstop.
Oh, sure, yes.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be Rojas. You just got to make sure that if there's any hesitation, it's just it's a kind of a weird angle. I guess because here's the deal. So you have your shift this way right now because you're playing the percentages that your hitter and Freddie Freeman is going to hit a ball to the right side. So because of that, would you want to vacate where Rojas is right now, the third baseman who's standing in the second base position? I don't think you would. I would assume that you would want Riddle to cover. Hopefully we'll find out. It'll be fun to watch.
Last point about the signing bonus for Acuna.
Yeah.
Acuna signed for $100,000 in 2014. The Marlins, 1999, 15 years before Acuna signed, they signed Miguel Cabrera out of Venezuela for $1.8 million. So 18 times what Acuna got, and that was 15 years prior.
They knew, and everyone else knew, as far as how special Miguel Cabrera was going to be, and that's why you command that kind of signing bonus. Also, different rules. The rules have changed as far as international spending. That has
always the Wild West.
Something to do with it, but not totally.
Yeah, 0 restrictions back then. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Good at bat by Freeman. Runner will be off. And that misses inside. Did it hit him? It's going to be a runner on at first and at second. I think that's just ball 4. Someone called time, so maybe Freeman did get hit with the pitch.
Let's take a look here. Doesn't look like that hit anything.
Well, so it's just your standard issue walk.
I think part of that was he had a little bit of a reaction. But let's see, everybody's walking over to third base, though. Wei-Yin Chen, Riddle in that spot. You have to make sure that third base is covered. That's something new for these players over these last couple of years. For the modern player, having to be aware of the shifts and which bases may be vacated because of it.
So a couple of walks here in the 5th inning. Acuna and Freeman, and Markakis will bat with 2 outs. Braves have yet to get a man to third. Marlins only did it once. That was back in the 1st inning. Realmuto couldn't score. Scoreless ball game. Top of the 5th inning. 81 runs batted in for Markakis.
So for Markakis, he's been very good with runners in scoring position this year. .302 batting average for him so far tonight. The Braves are 0 for 4.
There's a good strike, 1-1. Well, food for thought. Don Mattingly earlier this year, remember a quote from him. He was talking about Chen. He said, things go bad for him quickly. The quote was, the air comes out of the balloon real quick, it seems like, with Chen. He was cruising through the first 4 innings, but now a couple of walks here in the 5th. And a dangerous Markakis at the plate who can change things around quickly.
So check this out, and this is the downside of having a pitcher as your analyst. I don't think I've ever seen a base runner do this before, and I'm not exactly sure why. Watch as Freddie Freeman comes off of first base. He looks like he's getting ready to race somebody to second. And then the quick turn in. If he feels like he'll be quicker that way, if he'll get a better jump. I mean, anytime you have the first baseman playing back the way that you do right now, it gives you an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive with your lead. But of course, you got to be careful about getting back, but I don't think I've ever seen that.
When you see a sprinter get out of the starting blocks, they're not starting off like side saddle. They're getting into a stance and just going forward.
I mean, it makes some sense. I just feel like I'm kind of waiting for someone to say, on your mark, get set, go. And they're just going to take off.
Two balls and 2 strikes. 2 aboard, 2 outs. Nick Markakis, number 22. Chen strikes him out. Wei-Yin Chen just struck out a tough customer. Bottom of the 5th inning, halfway home, if anyone ever scores. 0-0 Marlins and Braves. Former Marlin Anibal Sanchez going pitch for pitch with Wei-Yin Chen. Miguel Rojas leads things off. Rojas, Sierra, and then Chen to bat here in the 5th inning. I'm assuming Chen will bat, but there's a chance we're getting late enough that maybe he would be lifted. Good strike, 1-1.
I think that's a good point. You should see Brzezinski up in the pen right now, at least starting to throw a little bit, and that looks like the kind of the maybe. If he gets up, you may go in. We may pinch hit. That's usually how those conversations go. It's been a good 5 innings for Chen. Those 8 strikeouts that he has tonight, that's tied a season high for him.
Rojas hit the ball hard his first time up. Nothing to show for it. Lined out to his ball and left. Rojas figuring things out here as a 29-year-old. Each of his last 4 seasons, exactly 1 homer on the year. This year he's got 10.
Another guy who has made the jump. Great defender. Actually played very into my career. Played winter ball. Rojas in the Dominican, and you could see right away this was 6 or 7 years ago, and like, oh yeah, this guy's got a glove, and he's a gamer, and you can put him at any position, and he's going to give you a really good effort. He's going to be a good defender. Look at him as, you know, maybe a last man on the bench, a guy who can start, spell some guys here and there. Well, now he started swinging it, and anytime you're a great defender and have a good glove and a respected glove in the big leagues, and you can add some kind of offense, you're gonna find at bats at the big league level. He has.
Don Mattingly, familiar with him from his time as the skipper with the Dodgers. And he's played him this year at shortstop, second base, third, a little bit of first. He has excelled defensively anywhere Donnie Baseball's played him. Softly. Camargo. Nice play. Made that look routine.
Well, extremely comfortable was JC on this. Watch as he fields this ball on the run and blowing a bubble at the same time. Forget about trying to chew gum and walk. How about blowing a bubble and making a great defensive play in the big leagues? And that was a nice one, very smooth. Good job by Freddie Freeman there at first base.
7th ground ball out induced by Sanchez, including the last 5 outs in a row.
I wonder too, so Chen is on deck. I'm kind of guessing, and you try to play along here a little bit, but I kind of believe that there's 2 quick outs. If there's nobody on, then we would probably see Chen hit.
Magneuris Sierra, 22-year-old. Played 22 games a year ago as a 21-year-old in the Cardinals outfield, and then was traded off season here to Miami in the deal that sent Marcell Osuna to the Cards. Not a lot of pop in that bat right now as a youngster. He's got 14 hits on the year, 14 for 85. And all but 1 has been a single. Turns on that pitch and fouls it, 2-2. Sierra is not related to the perennial all-star for the Texas Rangers, among other teams, Ruben Sierra. Ruben Sierra was a player for a while.
Maybe one of the best dressed players in the history of Major League Baseball. I had a chance to call him a teammate for a little while. A guy that had fun.
Was that in New York?
No, it was in Detroit.
Okay. Strikeout for Sanchez, second time he's got Sierra. Those are his only 2 strikeouts. MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for just $49.99. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus you get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer.
So with all the conversations that are surrounding kind of bat flips and admiring home runs, Ricky Henderson, Ruben Sierra, they put it on the map.
Another ground ball out. Chen swings at the first pitch and dribbles it back to Sanchez. Shutout for both sides through 5. We are still scoreless as we play inning number 6. Wei-Yin Chen working on a shutout through 5. Hasn't allowed a base runner to get to third.
He's throwing the ball well here so far. We mentioned this was going to be important. We also talked about how much he has liked the pitching here at home. He's been great this season. He has been great so far this evening. 8 strikeouts through 5 innings. I mentioned that ties a season high for Chen, and he has been in control and right now keeping this Atlanta Braves offense at bay. Good command tonight as well for Chen. Just that, or excuse me, 2 walks for him, but it's been 4 hits, no runs. About 17 of 22 first pitch strikes. He's been in the zone all night. 61 of his 92 pitches have been in the strike zone. That's good for a 66% strikeout rate. 3% better than what he's done so far this season, and so he'll try to get through at least another inning here for Don Mattingly.
Kurt Suzuki leads things off for Atlanta. Suzuki, Albies, and Duvall. High pop up, out of play behind home plate.
Season high pitch count for Chen this year has been 108 pitches, so you see him there at number 93. So plenty of room as far as the range and what Don Mattingly has allowed him to do so far this season, where if he doesn't get into too much trouble, enough pitches to at least try to get through this 6th inning.
Well, when you strike out 8 Atlanta Braves through 5 innings, you're doing something. The Braves have the fewest amount of strikeouts as a team in the National League.
They put the ball in play. You got the good batting average to go with it.
Leadoff single, Suzuki. So for just the 3rd time tonight, leadoff batter aboard for Atlanta. In both the 1st and the 4th inning, the leadoff man with a single, but both times base runner just stalled. Acuna never made it past 1st in the 1st, and in the 4th inning, Markakis made it to 2nd, but that was it. Do you think possibly small ball with Albies at the plate? You just try and manufacture something?
it's possible they could think about it a little bit when you got a guy that's been struggling. The idea of trying to move a runner over, especially if you know you're going to pinch hit. If it gets down to that far, you have Duvall in there because you like him against lefties, even though he's only hitting .214 against lefties this year. It's one way to look at it. But the next couple of righties that are coming up, actually for Swanson and Duvall, both hitting .214 against lefties this year. So since that's been a little bit of a struggle, you get a guy like Albies who came in hitting .342 against lefties. Your odds are a little bit better with him swinging the bat. So it's not a bad idea, but I think based on where you are in the lineup right now, you want Albies to swing it.
CJ, as a former pitcher, has the mental aspect of the pitcher changed because the way Major League Baseball has changed? When you pitched in the 90s and the early 2000s, did you think about the options that could happen? The bunt,
sure.
the hit and run, the straight steal, the pitch out. Now that the fact that those things have kind of gone the way of the dodo bird, does that make less of a stressful situation as a pitcher? Does it change things at all?
I think so. I mean, there's definitely some pluses and minuses to this generation for pitchers. Now there's more information as far as strategy goes that you have to process. So there's more to think about there. So it's less to think about as far as will there be a bunt, will there be a steal. I mean, you still have to do the job and make sure you don't just give up on those things. They still happen. They just don't happen nearly the frequency. The other thing you have to go along with all that information is the fact that guys swing big way more than they ever had in the past. And they'll take monster hacks regardless of count. You see one right there. You know, the idea of a two-strike guy shortening up and trying to go the other way. They still exist. They're not completely extinct, but they're not nearly as many as there used to be. And you just get some big swings. And so you have to be a little bit more careful. Especially behind in the count, or really any count for that matter. But there's times where you think you might be given a pitch. Be a little careful maybe, but you can do things like that in two-strike counts now because you're getting those kind of big swings from hitters, and that's Chen knowing exactly what he was dealing with his opponent. Take a look here. 0-2 four-seam fastball well above the zone. That's a good example of what you're seeing different in the game right now. Not trying to shorten up, not trying to take advantage of maybe a hole on the right side, but instead taking a big hack at a pitch out of the zone in an 0-2 count.
9 strikeouts for Chen. Adam Duvall looking for his first homer as a Brave. Heck, he'll just settle for his first run batted in. All of those power numbers for Duvall coming as a Cincinnati Red. The 15 homers and the 61 runs batted in. He is now just 4 for 31 without a homer or a run driven in while playing for Atlanta.
And not surprising, as the 9 strikeouts are now a season high for Chen, that he's gotten himself 14 swinging strikes, swings and misses. That is a season high for him as well. 14, or excuse me, 12 was his previous high. And so very interesting, right? You never know. You look at it on paper, you see the Braves, well, they don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play, they hit for average. And then you get a guy like Chen, he's got more swings and misses tonight than any other night.
Double play ball, 6-4. No! Oh, a little bit of laissez-faire, getting it over to first, and Duvall busting it, beats it out. I thought that was standard issue.
And Don Mattingly's got the hand up right now. They want to at least take some time to look at this to see if possibly the umpires missed this, but I think they're going to challenge. Take a look here. That is cool. I tell you what, I think they may challenge that. That's close. No decision made just yet from Don Mattingly. Let's watch it one more time here at full speed. It certainly did look like a standard double play. And they will indeed challenge this. Now remember, we saw the one super slow-mo. It was a good look. You see the frustration there on the face of Wei and Chen. It's not when the ball hits the back of the glove. It's when the ball gets in the cylinder of the glove. And that first slow-mo that we saw, it was really, really close. And in a game like this, you got to pick your spots. You want to make sure you get it right. Watch the ball here. Is the ball in the cylinder of the glove before the foot hits? Oh, that is close, close, close. And the idea, of course, with replays, it's got to be clear and conclusive. I got to tell you what, that look right there, I think, works in the Marlins' favor. It doesn't have to hit the back of the glove. It's got to be in the cylinder, which is right there. Yeah, this close.
That wasn't exactly a Willie McCovey at first with the stretch by Dietrich. Maybe if he had gotten a little bit more depth to that stretch, it wouldn't even been a challengeable play.
There was a little hesitation on that turn. That was part of it for Riddle. It seemed like he was having a hard time getting it out, but just wasn't quick. You know, getting it out. And
calls uphill.
One.
We should note, Duvall hasn't had much success with a bat in his hands since coming to Atlanta, but that's the second time in this game he's busted it down the line and gotten a good result.
Well, doing the little things is important, and the Braves have always been a team that has kind of pushed for doing the little things right. No more challenges remaining now for the Marlins. We see the one still remaining for the Braves. I think, you know, it's a good use of one, even though you're at this part of the lineup. You're going to take some chances once in a while with replay.
So there are 2 outs. Duvall, the runner at first. Dansby Swanson, 0 for 2. Swanson spots him a strike. Now with the pitcher spot next. Activity in that Braves bullpen. Last half inning we saw activity in the Marlins bullpen.
That certainly makes sense. I can't imagine any scenario in which Sanchez would hit. I mean, maybe the 2-run home run. You let him go back out there, but he's done a good job here so far. I think the Braves can keep this inning going. We won't see Sanchez.
As a starting pitcher, is that just odd for you to be in the on-deck circle, knowing that if something positive happens for your team, you're coming out of the game?
You prefer not to hit, essentially, because you're hoping that either runners come across the board or there's at least 1 or 2 runners in scoring position. So you want to pitch, but the idea of not hitting means something positive has happened offensively.
Into center field. That'll get down. Duvall heads to second. He'll stop there. Station to station baseball. 2 aboard with 2 outs for Atlanta.
Take a look at the pitch here first from Chen, that backdoor slider that he tried to use, and you see that's a pretty well located pitch. As a lefty, we say backdoor, you want that ball to start out of the strike zone and catch the corner, and it did, and it was down. That's just one of those times where you have to credit the hitter for going down and getting a really good pitcher's pitch and turning it into a base hit.
All right, Atlanta has not scored a run in the last 14 innings. With runners on at first and at second, they're going to let Sanchez bat, who is 0 for 29 on the year, including 2 strikeouts tonight against Chen.
I'm pretty shocked, quite honestly. I mean, you're essentially punting this inning. You know, the idea of getting some action up in your bullpen, was that just kind of a deep, toward the Marlins and maybe wanting them to think that you were possibly going to pinch hit? Because if you were going to do it, you would have done it right here.
Slugged foul, 0-2. Yeah, wouldn't this be something? Sanchez 0 for 29 on the year. A couple of strikeouts against Chen. Can always run into one. As long as you got a bat in your hands, you're dangerous. Swung on and missed. Side is retired. Chen now with 10 strikeouts. Braves lead 2 on. in Chen's performance, and they're saying good job. He has 6 shutout innings to his credit. It's been a defensive-oriented game for Atlanta. Dansby Swanson has been elite.
Yeah, this was a pretty incredible play as he goes in the hole. The Jeter jump right in front of Derek Jeter, and this is something pretty special. There's been some conversations about where you put him at short or in a better spot in the infield. Well, that guy right there, he certainly knows all about that throw. Although he one-hopped that one. There's one in the air. Okay, he's got that strong arm. The current CEO of the Florida Marlins, Derek Jeter.
Pretty cool.
Yes. Super thrilled to look up at that screen and see us
he's
showing a split screen of those two and saying, wait, what?
I think you shortchanged him. You said CEO. He's also the president.
Oh, my bad.
Minority owner. My goodness.
It's a year of
Man about town.
all about the titles.
That's fair. That's going to be extra bases. Ortega can really run. On his way towards second. Ball stuck in the corner. Ortega's going to go for 3. And he'll make it easily. The rarest of the rare. A standing up triple for Rafael Ortega.
Let's take a look at the replay here, and we're going to see this pitch from Sanchez. Watch it here. There's the slider. See, kind of outer third, but stayed up in the zone. And looking for any Freeman effort. Can't quite get there. Then watching the corner here. First of all, we'll take a look in real speed. Watch him come out of the box, never slowing down. At this point, you look here, and at this point, you don't look at your shoulder anymore. You only look at your third base coach. And Ortega does a nice job of picking up his third base coach. It's Freddie Gonzalez, former Braves manager. I don't know if Markakis had a little bit of an issue with that ball down in.
Realmuto swings at the first pitch, skies it to center. This is going to easily bring in the game's first run. Ortega makes it a 1-0 lead for Miami.
Well, for all the ground balls that Sanchez is able to get so far this evening, he couldn't get it when he needed it. And you get in that situation where you have a runner at third and nobody out, and as a hitter, you're just trying to get the ball in the air, deep into the outfield, get that first run across the board. And that is a great at-bat by JT Realmuto to make it happen.
So yesterday's game ended 1-0. Marlins on top of the Braves. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning, and we finally break the seal. All started because the Marlins got their first hit since the first inning on the triple by Ortega. No one's happier than Wei and Chen. He's dreaming of his 5th win of the year. Just lifted a moment ago, but because he is still the pitcher of record, this lead stays. It's going to be another win for Chen, who continues that just remarkable split of home and road. Dominance at home and utter futility away from Miami.
And you watch the way that he's thrown tonight, the way that he really has pitched in all of August, because August has been a very good month for him, and makes you wonder, you know, what's the problem? 17 innings, 2.08 ERA for him in the month of August. And those numbers only get better now after 6 shutout innings against the Braves.
Ten strikeouts, a season high for Chen. 3-2 to Dietrich. Lines this one into right field. First base hit for Dietrich. Now, 3rd time through the order for Sanchez has been a totally different exercise than the first 2 times.
And that's been a trend for him this season, and not surprising. We've talked about how well he has pitched and how, you know, the fastball sits 90 to 91. He's got to use a lot of different pitches to make it happen. But 3rd time through this season, opposing hitters have hit 250 against him. Not a brutal number, but much higher than the first 2 times through. 191. First time through the order is at opponent's batting average. 224 second time through, and then 3rd time at 250. Still respectable, but not surprising to see those numbers climb up. And that's what makes even what Chen did this evening so much more impressive. Chen, 3rd time through the order, 347 this year. Not tonight, though.
Now, CJ, it's important to remember the only reason Sanchez is still in the game right now to go 3 times through the order is because Brian Snitker wanted him to stay in. So much so that he let him bat back in the top part of this inning with runners on at first and at second in a 0-0 game. So he really felt comfortable.
Yeah.
3rd time through the order, and now all of a sudden a couple of well-hit balls and already a run in. Castro straight up in the air. Center field, Acuna a couple of steps back.
It was a confusing decision, no two ways about it. It's one thing if you felt like, well, is the bullpen thin? Are they tired? That's not the case right now. Down to that Atlanta bullpen, you know, you manage sometimes on instincts and what you see, and you look at the Atlanta Braves, what options they have coming off the bench. You have a couple of good options. 4-man bench. But ultimately, that was the decision that they made. We'll see if it ends up costing them the game.
Chad Savatka continues to throw in that Braves bullpen. Here's JT Riddle. JT Riddle, Players Weekend, his first instinct was to put the Riddler on the back of his jersey, but that did not fly with Major League Baseball because of copyright issues. So he simplified it quite significantly. But the shoes.
Well, hopefully we did not get him in trouble. Those are pretty cool, though. Yeah, you know, I get it. Obviously, you worry about those kinds of things, and it makes sense from a business standpoint. But then there's the practical part of you that says, would it really make a difference if it said the Riddler on the back of his jersey?
I guess it's possible that some people in our viewing audience don't know that the Riddler was one of the villains in the old Batman series and the Batman movies.
And one that could give you nightmares as a child.
Cesar Romero, maybe? Did he play the Riddler?
You're asking the wrong person.
All right. We'll stick to baseball.
I'm pretty one-dimensional.
Oh, I'm told the guys in the truck. Cesar Romero was the Joker.
Oh. That's what I was thinking. I meant to say that.
3-0 pitch. Get me over, gets over. It's now 3-1. Inning began with the triple by Ortega. Real Muto drove him home with the sacrifice to center. Dietrich a line drive single to right. Castro the fly out, and now Riddle 3-1. Ball skips away from the catcher, and Dietrich will take an extra base. Could have went further, but chooses not to. First and second with 2 outs. And not only is Brian Snitker coming out, but he's coming out with a trainer in tow.
This is interesting here. The Braves are going to make their move, but because you bring the trainer out, of course, that gives your relief pitcher as much time as he needs.
So we're going to have a pitching change. Back to Miami in a moment. Call to the bullpen. Bullpen phone answered by Chad Sabatka.
It's been good for him so far. This will be his 6th game at the big league level. See those 10 strikeouts to 4 walks so far for the 24-year-old.
Sabatka from South Carolina upstate. Drafted in the 4th round a handful of years ago by the Braves. Atlanta, the only organization he's ever known. Pitching against Austin Dean. His parents probably had a bit of a sense of humor, maybe not. Austin Dean's middle name, James. Austin James Dean.
Gave him the AJ option, which he obviously did not take. Really good nickname.
Dean was robbed his last time up. Dansby Swanson made a nice defensive play at short. Dietrich, the runner, on at second. Riddle on at first. Already a run in for the Marlins.
It's a pretty simple 2-pitch mix for Sabatka. Let's see. Fastball, you've already seen one at 96 miles an hour, and then the slider right there. Uses that fastball 72% of the time. That has so far here in his brief big league career.
Ball and 2 strikes to Dean. Dean began his year playing Double-A baseball in Jacksonville, made it to New Orleans Triple-A. Now for the last 2 weeks has been a big leaguer. Did he go too far? Yes, indeed. Home plate umpire C.B. Bucknor rings him up, and the side is retired. But the Marlins get the game's first scratch. Marlins lead. Here's our Jim Beam call to the bullpen. Wei-Yin Chen is done. Drew Ruzinski comes in for the 21st time this year.
And you see those numbers there against lefties and righties. He's done an excellent job against right-handers with that 204 batting average. Just 18 strikeouts in 24 and a third inning. So more of a contact pitcher, not necessarily a ground ball pitcher. A lot of times when you see the lower strikeouts, you see a lot of ground balls, but the ground ball average is 43%, so just right around league average so far this season.
Tough customer in the right-handed batter's box. Ronald Acuna has not been retired today. 2 for 2 with a double. Also walked in the 5th inning. Just the 78th game as a big leaguer for Acuna. And he's put up jaw-dropping numbers, but he's going to have to work. Down in the count, 0-2. Look at that, 290, 21 homers for Acuna Jr. in just under a half of a season at the big league level.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
Swatted right center field, shallow, coming on Ortega. Here's a big out, number 1 for Ruzinski. And Ruzinski coming up the hard way. Undrafted free agent, signed out of Ohio State University by the Cleveland Indians back in 2011. He's also been in the Angels chain, Cubs chain, been with the Twins at the big league level. First year here in Miami. Here's Camargo. Of note, Ruzinski is from Neenah, Wisconsin, and for some reason, to someone out there that sounds familiar, you may have seen it before. Neenah, Wisconsin is one of the largest foundries in the country. Most manhole covers that you see, if you walk on an American street, you see a manhole cover, look down, more often than not, it'll say Neenah, Wisconsin.
That is amazing. You are an encyclopedia over there.
N-E-E-N-A-H, Wisconsin. They make a mean manhole cover in Neenah. Put the other place right out of business.
That's a pretty good market at the corner if you can do it.
0 for 3 is Camargo. 2 balls and a strike. Two and 2, 94 miles per hour, fouled straight back.
So we showed you the season comparison so far between these two clubs, and this is where the Braves have had a huge advantage getting into that Marlins bullpen. They were unable to do it last night. They're going to try to do it again, hopefully tonight, for Braves fans.
Freddie Freeman on deck. Braves last scored a run in the 5th inning of Thursday's game. 18 straight scoreless frames. We go full. Smoked down the right field line, but foul. Not by much.
Take a look at the replay here at this pitch, just kind of spinning in the middle of the plate. And for Camargo, just trying to stay back a little bit longer if he could.
Eric Young still springing.
Trying to help that ball out a little bit.
Now Camargo goes the other way. We saw Camargo blowing bubbles defensively over at third. He's been blowing bubbles in the batter's box this time around.
I mean, obviously, right, there's no thought that goes into it. It's just a habit. You're comfortable doing it, obviously, in any situation, as he was making that play defensively on the run. It's amazing.
Pitch coming. Foul tipped into the catcher's glove. Second out here in the top of the 7th inning. All right, C.J. Nitkowski, former pitcher. What do you got for me?
So interesting to watch right here as far as what he is doing with, oh, we're going to have a pitching change. Pitch grip, changeup. He uses that split. And whenever you have this kind of split grip, you don't want to fumble around with it once you already have the ball in your glove, right? You get a lot of guys who are always trying to hide pitches, right? So you see it, and what you ultimately will try to do is make sure that you have that grip before you come set. Because if you try to find this grip with the ball's already in your glove, you start out with a fastball, and then you try to get to that grip, everybody in the ballpark is going to know what's coming next. So for Rucinski, what he does is he starts with that changeup grip because he digs so much on that kind of hybrid split finger that he throws. And it's been a great pitch for him, a 167 batting average against that pitch, well, because he disguises it so well. So not uncommon whenever you see that kind of deep changeup grip for pitchers, that they'll start with it in their hand, and then come set if they got to go to something else. So you can always switch to your fastball, your cutter, your curveball. That's easy. But trying to switch to a split, that can be a challenge.
So Rucinski faces two, retires them both. And now we're going to see a pitching change with a couple of left-handers coming up. You got Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis coming to the dish, and Don Mattingly just deciding he'd be best off with a southpaw. So,
yep, probably not a bad idea. Even though we did mention earlier, as far as the middle of this Braves lineup with Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis, good numbers against lefties. And even though they have those good numbers, as a manager, you're always still very comfortable at least having them see a left-hander. Even though they've seen Chen all night, you start digging into what you have in your bullpen. It's going to be a little bit of a different look. You probably get the bigger breaking ball. Managers love having that left-handed reliever that's got the bigger breaking ball, high-powered fastball, whatever it may be, to try to make these left-handed hitters uncomfortable. And really, this could end up being one of the biggest spots in the game, right? If you play your cards right and you get it done, these guys will not come to hit the rest of the night. So you may have to take care of Freddie Freeman in the 7th inning, hopefully, for the Marlins the last time of the night.
Well, before we get to this big spot, let's take a look at our Budweiser game summary. Wei-Yin Chen was nails. He goes 6 innings, a season high 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, he was locked in, generating those swings and misses all night. And then in the 6th inning, take a look here as far as getting that first run on the board. There's that triple down the line from Ortega. The easy triples, Nick Markakis could not dig it out. And then the very next pitch, JT Realmuto hits that deep fly ball, and Ronald Acuna Jr. doesn't even bother. No chance to throw out the runner. And so here we are now. It's just a 1-0 game. The bottom of the 6th inning. Should be top of the 7th inning now. Sanchez was good. Chen was even a little bit better.
Adam Conley leads in the circle, and his first pitch to Freeman is lined in the left, and that'll be a base hit, possibly a double. Freeman on his way to second. He's out! Oh, a great job by Austin Dean to pick himself up, dust himself off, and throw a P to second to get Freeman.
Well, the throw was certainly there in time. Right now, Brian Snitker is standing at the top step and wondering if they want to challenge this. It's not because the ball didn't get there in time. It's just a matter of whether or not the tag was made, and it was, and they will not challenge it.
So a single and a 7-4 put out at second, side retired. play and got a hero's welcome in the Marlins dugout. Fielded that single by Freddie Freeman quickly and got the ball back to the infield to throw out Freeman with his hand in his cookie jar. Trying to turn a single into a double. Score remains 1-0. Miami on top of Atlanta. Bottom of the 7th inning. Chad Sabatka came on in the bottom of the 6th. Struck out Austin Dean. Now faces Miguel Rojas. Off the thumbs. Softly hit to right. Racing in. Marquez can't make the play. Little jam shot. And the leadoff man aboard for Miami.
We'll take a look at this replay here. Another well-placed ball here by the Marlins. You make a good pitch, you get weak contact. We watch this ball just kind of dying. Nick Marquez did not have a chance to get to it. He made an effort. As he started to slide, he realized there was no way he was going to be able to make the catch. So it was a good job at least making some contact with the ball. When it comes down at that kind of angle, you can take that chance. You're not worried about the ball necessarily skipping past you and the base runner taking an extra base.
Magdalene Sierra has struck out twice, but that was against Sanchez. For the rookie, just 14 for 85 on the year. Do you ask him to lay down a bunt? I realize that's so 1985, but
that's not a bad idea. Certainly the Braves are thinking about it as they have Camargo all the way in on the left side of the infield.
Not a very good bunt, but it's good enough. That was about 4 feet away from home plate, out number 1, but moving into second goes Rojas. Let's send it to Mike Hill in Los Angeles. Three-0 lead for Clayton Kershaw. Thanks for coming.
And it's been the good version of Clayton Kershaw lately for the Dodgers. Rumors wondering, obviously the Dodgers worrying about taking care of business in 2018, but do not forget that Clayton Kershaw, if he so chooses, can opt out of his contract this year and become a free agent. And there's not a lot of competition on the free agent market. Well, when you're Clayton Kershaw, there's no competition anyway. It's a pretty weak market right now. And if he finishes strong, that should be a hot topic of conversation.
Dodgers have some money.
Yes, they do. So you can try to squeeze a few more dollars out of them if he wants to stay in Los Angeles. Still a couple of years left on his current deal. It'll be an interesting story to watch.
Here's Brian Anderson. Didn't get the start tonight. That's a rarity. This is a rookie who has just earned the trust of Don Mattingly. Mattingly loves him. But getting the night off. Pitch boxed by Suzuki. Doesn't go too far.
Well, there are your National League Rookie of the Year candidates. And Brian Anderson is there, and I think in any other year he might be a favorite as you see what he has done this season. But Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, this is probably turning into a two-man race for who will win the NL Rookie of the Year. Both of these guys going back and forth. It is tight right now. A lot of people saying, well, who do you take? If the season ended right now, it would be a really tough call. I think you would see a lot of split votes. I think it would be extremely close. I think Soto would actually get it. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, the rest of the season is going to tell us. But as of right now, and I feel bad for Anderson because he's having a great year. He deserves probably more recognition than he's gotten. But there is just a crop of young studs right now popping up around the big leagues.
95 miles per hour. That fastball is called strike. 3-1. Anderson batting with the runner on at second base, Rojas.
I got to tell you too, I'm glad he got the opportunity to pinch hit because it's Players Weekend, and the Marlins this evening gave away Players Weekend. I don't know if they're jerseys or replica T-shirts or what exactly they are, but they all say Andy on the back. So you figure if you're giving away a guy's promo T-shirt, whatever it is, you'd like to think that he'd be in the game.
3-2. Slugged deep to left field. This has got a chance, no doubt about it. A pinch hit homer. Brian Anderson on your night.
Well, Don Mattingly drew it up exactly the way that he wanted to. He knew what he was doing on Brian Anderson's Jersey night. Let him pinch hit and be a hero with a huge pinch hit home run to put the Marlins up by 3 now.
Pretty cool. 10th homer of the year for Anderson. This homer of the pinch variety. And all of a sudden, a 3-run lead for Miami.
Take a look at this here. 3-2 pitch, fastball right down the middle. Power versus power, and Anderson wins this. And what's more impressive for him, it's his first pinch hit of his career. He was 0 for 3 coming into this one. But then how many times you hear a pinch hitter talk about not wanting to get deep into an at-bat?
Nice pick by Freddie Freeman. And Ortega is out number 2.
Take a look at it one more time here from the side. Get out in front of it. Good chance you know that fastball is probably coming. And you know it's going to be of decent velocity, so you want to make sure that you get out there and you get it. It was 96 miles per hour. And Anderson turned that thing around in a big way. He hit it 106 miles per hour with a projected distance of 415 feet.
Your math is terrific.
I just kind of guessed, actually.
Here's Real Muto.
Sounded like 106.
Real Muto, like Anderson, both Oklahomans by birth. Real Muto from Midwest City, Oklahoma. Anderson from Edmond, Oklahoma. Real Muto with just 1 official at bat on the night. He singled in the first inning. Then he walked and stole a base in the 3rd. And drove in the game's first run in the 6th with a sacrifice fly to center. Well, this Braves bullpen. Atlanta's bullpen on the year, ERA of 4.10. That home run is now the 44th homer allowed by the pen. Something that Brian Snitker is working through. Maybe we're starting to figure out why he kept Anibal Sanchez in the game maybe a little longer than most managers would.
Yeah, it was interesting to kind of watch that whole thing unfold. And for the Braves, the bullpen is something to keep an eye on. They are a first-place team right now, and they certainly have some thoughts of getting deep into the postseason. They've added to their bullpen with some veterans. Brad Brock, Johnny Benners, who's been an unbelievable story this year. 3.5 Tommy John surgeries. Those are his words. Told us this winter on radio that looked at one of them as kind of a half Tommy John. But just an incredible story for a guy who started out with the Braves, made his mark with the Braves, and now back in that bullpen. He had some big arms. But well, there were some young, inexperienced arms down there, too.
We're just getting word. Remember, Sanchez left in the bottom of the 6th inning after he'd given up the go-ahead run. Sanchez was pulled with 2 outs and a couple of runners aboard. And when Brian Snitker came to the mound, he did come out with a training staff. We were told right hamstring tightness was the reason why Sanchez was lifted. 3-0 lead, Marlins. for Miami. A 2-run pinch hit home run for the rookie. And now Atlanta running out of time. They have just 6 more outs to play with. New left fielder Isaac Galloway. He's in right field. Galloway, one of the best stories in baseball this season. 11 years in the minors, all in the Marlins chain before finally getting the call up. Kyle Bearclaw comes on, trying to recapture the rapture.
Yeah, so it's been some struggles here lately, and you see the overall numbers, and they look pretty good for Bearclaw. And he's got an opportunity here with a 3-run lead to some work done trying to keep the Braves at bay with the 0 on the board right now. But you're right, that is an amazing story. Talk about the Bearclaw struggles lately. Check this out. In June, he had 12 games pitched and absolutely dominated. 0.028 batting average against with just 12 strikeouts. Excuse me, 12 strikeouts and just 2 walks. July and August, though, a little bit of a different story. You see the numbers there. 16 earned runs in 11 2/3 innings. Nearly identical walks to strikeouts. Batting average really climbed up, so he's trying to get it going again here for the Marlins.
Markakis hits it hard, but to the wrong man. JT Riddle makes the play. 6-3 on the putout. 1 down in the 8th inning. Catch an MLB doubleheader next Saturday on FS1. First, Giancarlo Stanton leads the Yankees against the Tigers. Then the Rays battle Francisco Lindor and the Indians. It all starts at 3:30 Eastern on FS1, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. A couple of your former teams there, Yankees and Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much throw a dart at the standings. There's a decent chance you'll win a team that I spent at least some time with.
Left-handed pitchers, right?
You can trick them.
Hard to get rid of them.
Trick them for a long time. You feel a little bad, some of the general managers, that you get fired along the way. You'll take the opportunities when you can get them.
Maybe you still got a chance. They say left-handers develop late.
No chance. I was actually talking to Paul Bird, who's doing radio for the Braves. He also does television for them. We're kind of joking about it. I said, I have a hard enough time playing catch with my kids, trying to throw batting practice, and the rotator cuff just barks with each throw, and you got to grind through it for your children. But there is no chance I could get a big league hitter out.
Kurt Suzuki 1 for 3. Suzuki hit a screamer his last time up. Line drive single to center. That was probably the best scoring opportunity for Atlanta. The 6th inning. A couple of base hits. Runners on at first and at second. And then, interestingly, Brian Snitker chose to let Anibal Sanchez remain in the game and hit for himself. And predictably, he struck out. Suzuki, he's aboard. Second consecutive at bat with a single for the veteran catcher. Now, Brian Snitker hadn't made too many mistakes this year. He gets a wide berth. Definitely gets the benefit of the doubt. He was definitely on the short list for manager of the year.
No doubt. The job that he has done with this club. Everyone around baseball surprised that this turned into a contender.
Ozzie Albies.
I got to tell you, too, talking with him today, sitting in his office, Bobby Cox had that incredible run here in Atlanta. Those 14 division titles. I played for Bobby 1 year in Atlanta, and as we were talking to Brian Snitker, it felt very familiar and very similar to the demeanor, the way that he talked about his players. You know, Bobby Cox, whenever you played for him, every Brave will tell you this. Whenever you put on a Braves uniform, Bobby Cox was your biggest fan. And it was the greatest feeling in the world because he was such an accomplished manager and he legitimately cared about you. And listening to Brian Snitker talk about his team and how he loves being around these young guys and how it feels good and the energy that he feeds off of these guys, it just felt very similar to the way Bobby Cox did it.
Playable for Rojas. 2 down. Let's send it back to Mike Hill in Los Angeles. Mike, thank you so much. It's getting late right now for Atlanta. Down by 3. 2 outs in the 8th inning. Ender Inciarte with an opportunity. He's going to pinch hit for Adam Duvall. Duvall takes the collar, 0 for 3. Inciarte, the everyday center fielder, getting the night off. 8 homers, 50 runs batted in. Suzuki, the runner at first. Now, CJ, you were talking about the similarities that you felt with Brian Snitker and Bobby Cox. I think just from a longevity standpoint and proximity, there's a reason for that. Brian Snitker has been the Braves' brave forever. Signed as a player in 1977. It was the only organization he ever knew as a minor leaguer. And immediately after ending his playing career, joining the organization as a coach, and has coached at literally every level of the Braves minor league chain over the years, doing a wonderful job as this year's skipper. Strikeout on Inciarte. Bottom of the 8th inning. Here's tonight's Gatorade Proven Performer.
Yeah, what a night it was for Wei-Yin Chen. Just absolutely crushing it tonight. 6 innings, 6 hits, no earned runs. Really good use of the fastball. He knew when to go out of the zone. You see it there on back-to-back pitches. Just 2 walks this evening, but he registers 10 strikeouts. That's the season high, as is the 109 pitches that he threw. Also a season high. And he just continues to pitch unbelievably well here at home.
Ender Inciarte came on to pinch hit, top of this inning, remains in the game at center, and that means Acuna is now the left fielder for Atlanta. Luke Jackson comes out of the pen, throwing gas, 95 miles per hour, right past Derek Dietrich. Luke Jackson has Skywalker on the back of his jersey. Star Wars reference, CJ, you down with that?
I have to assume that's what it is, as you see the numbers there. And it's been a good year, 39 strikeouts so far. You mentioned the big fastball, and it really is amazing to watch the way that bullpens have evolved over these last couple of years. The names and the fastballs that come out of every single pen. I mean, it's not if you have one guy. It wasn't that long ago where if you had a guy that threw 96, 97, he was the guy. Now you're about 1 of 4 if you throw 95 to 97. Even Don Mattingly, the great Don Mattingly, said, the reality is these guys are just better. Everything that they do as amateurs, the academies that they come out of, the commitment level, the training when you're younger, the raw talent right now at the big league level is as good as it's ever been. With that being said, though, he did mention guys get to the big leagues a lot quicker. Well, there's your answer. It's absolutely a Star Wars reference. And a pretty good one, too. Those are amazing. Like maybe you could have rolled the dice on the copyright on the shoes, just not the jersey.
Dietrich golfs this one into center field. Braves have a man there just in front of the warning track. Enciarte makes the play.
But kind of based on what Don Mattingly was saying, like, you know, again, he was a great player. Oh, one of my favorites as a kid.
Greatest Yankee never to play in a World Series.
Yeah, fortunately. And he said, listen, these guys are better, no two ways about it. But they get to the big leagues quicker. The idea of getting these players experience early. This is not a Marlins thing. This is league wide, and you see it. And organizations see the advantage of that. But the downside is that some of the other skills, some of the baseball IQ, the little things, hitting cutoff man, when to take extra bases, all that kind of stuff. And really, we talked about this with both managers, and they were both on the same page and saying very similar things. There's a little bit more teaching that has to happen at the big league level because of it. They can do incredible things as they come through that kind of showcase era, or as we have right now. You showcase your skills. That's how you get drafted. It's how you get a college scholarship, whatever it may be. But the finer points of the game are now being taught at the big league level as opposed to being taught at the minor league level.
And Starlin Castro was one of those guys who got started really young, came up to Chicago and played with the Cubs as a 20-year-old. Because of that early start, believe it or not, Starlin Castro, be the first one on your block to tell your friends this, he's almost halfway to 3,000 hits.
Wow.
And he's only 28 years of age. He's got 1,422 career hits, and he's playing this season as a 28-year-old.
It's amazing how young he is.
Jackson strikes out Castro, 2 down. Manage your dream team in franchise mode. Plus get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at rbigame.com. Rated E for everyone. Steckenrider getting loose. Another hard-throwing right-hander. We've already seen Rosinski, Conley, and Bearclaw out of the pen for Miami. As we look to the Atlanta ninth, Swanson, the pitcher spot, and then Acuna. And if anyone gets on, Camargo, Freeman, Markakis. So still a puncher's chance for the Braves. JT Riddle 0 for 2 with a walk. Hit well to left field, going back on it. Acuna surrounds it, makes the play. Jackson out of the pen, a 1-2-3-8 last chance for Atlanta, down 3. 0-0. Here's our Flipping the Switch, sponsored by Boost Mobile.
Yeah, what a big moment for Brian Anderson, the rookie, getting an opportunity. 3-2 count, gets himself a fastball, catches it out front, and his first pinch hit of his career is a home run, and one that went 416 feet out to left field. And you see the excitement. That was a big one. It was a 2-run shot that put the Marlins up by 3. Try to hold on here in the 9th.
A couple of changes to tell you about. Yadiel Rivera is now the third baseman for Miami. Rojas moves across the diamond to first. And the new pitcher trying to close things out in the 9th, Drew Steckenrider. 60th appearance for Steckenrider, who's going by Stegosaurus. Or Stegosaurus here on Players Weekend.
See those numbers there. Nice job against righties. 196 on the batting average against, 64 strikeouts in his 55 innings so far this season.
Dansby Swanson pops it up out of play.
He's got a fastball that averages 95 miles an hour. You'll see a cutter, a slider, and a changeup as well from the big right-hander. But right now for the Marlins, it does appear that how they're going to close things out will be a little more closer by committee, playing matchups for Don Mattingly, which is a good opportunity. Throw a couple of guys out there, see how they do. I mean, this is a team that is looking towards the future.
This is Atlantan against Atlantan. Dansby Swanson, native of Atlanta. Drew Steckenrider, native of Atlanta as well. He was born in Atlanta, went to high school in Norcross, and that's the rarest of the rare. Normally the Braves in the last 20 years, they have thrown an absolute fence around Atlanta. They don't let any of the good young prospects out of their sight. Steckenrider originally drafted out of high school. He was taken in the 8th round back in 2012. Made it to the big leagues for the first time a year ago. Down the right field line and foul.
Steckenrider has closed before. 17 saves from a couple of years ago in the minor leagues.
For those of you looking for a UFC Fight Night, it is now available on FS2 and also on the Fox Sports app. We're in inning number 9. Atlanta hasn't scored a run since the 5th inning of Thursday's game, but that may change right now. Dansby Swanson deep into the night. Oh my! First run in a month of Sundays for Atlanta. That snaps a streak of 21 scoreless innings for the Braves.
And number 13 for Dansby Swanson, who hit just 6 a year ago. He has shown some power. The batting average maybe not where you want it to be, but the power has been there. And take a look at this fastball as it kind of rides middle in. He is very good. They were even trying to go in on fastballs in, even though, again, maybe not a ton of power. It's hard to get a fastball by Dansby Swanson. You can see why.
See, he hit that thing way up there over that State Farm sign.
Charlie Culberson comes off the pine, swings at the first pitch to shallow center. It's surrounded by 3 Marlins, and Castro makes the play.
Take a look at this home run one more time from Dansby Swanson. This was a big one, a fun one to watch, at least if you're a Braves fan, as he gets out in front of that fastball. He knew it right away. He absolutely hammers this thing. Watch how quick he gets the barrel middle in and gives this thing a ride. Off a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
431 feet, we are told. Ronald Acuna Jr. Braves just need base runners. If either Acuna or the next man, Camargo, can get on, that will allow Freddie Freeman to bat with a chance to tie it with a homer. Tied him up with 95. You're not going to sneak too many fastballs past Acuna. And it did right there. That is 95 with movement. 2 down here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, but pretty surprising to see this happen in back-to-back pitches against
Acuna, who's been so good, especially they were trying to go away. That ball came back over the middle a little bit and just swung right through it.
Already today, the Philadelphia Phillies losing. So Atlanta currently 3.5 games up in the NL East, but in danger of losing that half game they picked up earlier this afternoon. Last hope for the Braves is Camargo. So with 2 outs in the 9th inning, game on the line, down by 2. The Braves are going to have to put their faith in JC. JC on the back of the jersey of Johan Camargo, who was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. And now he's down to his last strike.
Talk about velocities and fastballs, but you can see right here with Steckenrider, all fastballs not created equal. It's 94 to 95. We see a lot of that. We see a lot more of that, but we see that late life in the movement that he's getting past these Braves hitters.
High pop. It's going to be playable for someone. Ball game. The Miami Marlins have won 2 consecutive against their nemesis from Atlanta. 1-0 win last night in this building. 3-1 final tonight against the first place Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, a couple of tight ones, and we talked about coming into this game what was going to be important, and Wei-Yin Chen pitching well was going to be important. He did this evening, threw the ball extremely well, and this is another tight ball game and a good test for this young team. You love seeing Don Mattingly's club come and fight against right now their division leaders, knowing that a lot of these young players on both clubs will be seeing each other quite a bit over these next few years.
If you're Brian Snitker and the Atlanta Braves, any worries that you had just 1 run scored in the last 18 innings?
No, you know you're going to go through the ups and downs over the course of the season. That's just the way it is. It's a good offense, but this isn't necessarily a Red Sox type of juggernaut offense, and the low times are going to happen.
So the Atlanta Braves have lost 2 consecutive, but they are still 15 games over 500. Final score 3-1. Don Mattingly's Marlins over the Braves. For CJ Nikowski, I'm Eric Collins saying so long from Miami. Now let's go to UFC Fight Night in Lincoln, Nebraska.